I'm more than happy to share a bit of my sports journey and cultural experiences as a karate elite athlete. So beside me, we have two big sports stars with us, Camille and Hilda.
Hi,
Say hello to
everyone.
them.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Just now, Coral had briefly introduced one of the biggest achievement Camille and Hilda had. And actually, they are both the CU Outstanding Students recipients in 2018. And I'm sure this opening talk will be a very fruitful one. And we can learn so much from Camille and from Hilda. At the end of this session, we will have 10 minutes for you to ask them more questions that you want. Although we are from different sports event, triathlon for Hilda, swimming for Camille, and karate for me, we live and eat in the same place, the Hong Kong Sports Institute, and it's the training basis for the elite athlete in Hong Kong. And as the elite athlete, we might train in different area, different places, or even different countries, but we get to know more about athletes of different sports with the Hong Kong SI activities and annual events. Sometimes I meet Hilda in the canteen and we will have a quick chat and updates with her. And for Camille, most of the time she trains outside of Hong Kong. And I guess the only event we are together are the times we all represent Hong Kong as a whole big team in Asian Games. And it is our honor for every athlete to be able to represent Hong Kong for the big games. And beside the great sporting attitude in competitions, I have a lot of fun living in the athlete village. I remember there were a talent show in the center of the village from time to time at the night time. Different athletes from different countries were free to apply, and they have shown their multiple talents besides sport. Some of them sing songs, some of them just dance with their country style. And I recall that the Indonesia players were so passionate about dancing, and they would even invite the audience to dance and learn with them. Just by being the audience, appreciating for the talent show is a pleasure filled with harmony for me after a day of training or competition in Asian Games. And I enjoy the moment very much, every moment in the Asian Games. And perhaps at this point, Hilda and Camille can share with us more about their experiences in Asian Games. So shall we go with Camille first?
Yes, thank you. Hi to everyone. So I think a lot of the times when I'm asked about Asian Games, there's always a big focus on the performance, like the medals and the swimming performance. But I think what's often less talked about is like the opportunity to interact with other sports, the opportunity to interact with people from different countries. And I think those are always like really highlights for me because, I think at the end of the day, the performance is really fun, but what makes it more memorable is the moments that you get to share, whether it's just with your teammates, with other sport mates or people that you get to meet. So really excited about the talk today and hearing the different experiences and getting to share mine. For me, Asian Games was my second one in Indonesia. And I think it's hard to find the time sometimes, like it's during the meals where you try to interact with other people because otherwise you're so focused on your performance and the competition. And I think for me, the just being around the different and like I think maybe less so in Asian Games, but in other, like, for example, like the village settings. So for example, like the Olympic village, when there's people that are speaking all these different languages, like, I think for me, that's really exciting, just being like, oh, where are you from? You know, and asking them these questions. So I think those are really exciting things. And I think throughout the talk today, we'll share a bit more about our experiences.
Yeah, absolutely, Camille. And like you mentioned, it's very exciting to go to the Asian Games and like to experience the culture as well. And for me, it's exciting because I remember at that time we were rooming in the same room in the SI, and like we have like witnessed each other preparing for the games, and we train very hard, and like yeah, it's such an like a memorable experience as well. And like I'm very happy for you to win 3 medals in Asian Games, and that's really like you can see in the picture, like in the PowerPoint, and we're going to that ceremony, and like that is such an honor to be your roommate, like, to be honest. So I feel like Asian Games has been a very exciting moment for athletes, for Margot as well, and for Camille. And I'm also very happy to have won the medal with my teammate as well. So yeah, culture thing is a very interesting thing when we travel around the world, and we hope this sharing we can bring more of that side to you all.
Yeah. Beside the Asian game experience, we actually have so many opportunities to travel all over the world for trainings and for competitions. And for me, this is one of the most amazing part in my athlete career. Not only do I broaden my horizons for different training methods, but also get to know more about the culture in other countries. And we share the same language, which is sports, yet the training ritual, training mode can be so different. But embracing this diversity, I found myself more open to everything, and my level had been brought to a higher level. And now we are going to share more about the cultural experience in a foreign country. And Hilda, how's your triathlon experiences? Can you share with us some of your most memorable experiences?
Yeah, sure. I'm very like privileged to have the opportunity to train and race all over the world. And for me, like the most like memorable moments to train is in Japan, and where you can see on the picture on the left. So that is the training camp that we prepared for the Asian Games in 2014. So we got the opportunity to train with the top athletes in Japan and spend a lot of time with them training. So talking about like their like a costume and like their routine and like training culture, and I feel like Japan is a very um, disciplined countries, and with athletes being very disciplined as well. And like for me to experience them greeting the coach, how they bow to their coach when they meet them in the morning, and like say like "Ohaya godaimasu," or like after each training, and they will say like "Oskare sama desu," and that slang actually means like, oh, everyone work hard and we appreciate everyone doing the hard work. And that is actually very sort of reflective to me, because like in our training, and we spend a lot of hours on the bike, on the swim, and on the run. And definitely training partners have been a very biggest motivation, or like very important elements in your training. Like they can either motivate you and like bring you to another level. And I feel like to have that encouragement and like the sense of bonding to work together towards a goal, that is very, very aspiring to do that. So training in Japan, I learned about how polite they are, the courtesy they train. And so that is one of the cultural part I experienced in Japan. So another part I train is in Australia. We spent 3 months, like from December to February in Australia to have a very big volume training to prepare for the coming season. So Australia is quite different. Like training there is more relaxed. Like it's also disciplined, don't get me wrong, but people are more relaxed. They enjoy training and they enjoy the sun, the beach, the coffee. And so most of the time we're having long hour rides. We usually stop for coffee. So we will find a good, decent coffee shop and just to enjoy a good sip of coffee, some caffeine, and then start riding again. Yeah.
So, Hilda, can you tell me which style you like more, the Japanese one or the Australia one?
For me, I like the Australian one.
Mm.
I'm a more relaxed person. Well, I'm Asian definitely, but I feel like because training is like it's hard, right? So we need to balance our mind and body, and I feel like for me the most suitable way is to having fun in training, and to have fun we get to like we can exert more efforts, you know, when you're having fun in a training session and you know, okay, like the effort's gonna count as well, but you're at the same time, like you like the grinding, like the process of like, okay, it's actually okay. And I feel like that relaxed mode helps you to get in the zone better for me. So I prefer the relaxed style.
The Western style, right?
Yeah, the
Oh,
Western style, yeah.
but for the Japanese style, can you tell me how disciplined is it?
Mm. So, well, every day they will have a routine. The coach will demonstrate that at night, and then the following day they will practice that routine. So in the morning they will have like wake up and then have a team breakfast. After that, like they will prepare for the first session, and the first session they will prepare like if it is a long hour ride, they will prepare extra bottles for riding and then extra nutrition like the power bar, power gels, bananas, and then bring it to the support car and prepare the bikes, pump it up, and check everything is safe and ready to ride. And after that, coming back from a tiring ride, they will like shower or even go to the jump into the onsen because hot bath is a very good therapy, like hot bath therapy for them to relax the muscle.
For better
They
recovery
focus
as
on
well.
yeah, correct. So they focus on recovery work right after training and then to prepare for another session in the afternoon. And then after that, they do recovery either to see a massage therapist or just to do foam rollering themselves. So it is actually very disciplined and I pretty much like the routine as well.
Or how would it different from Hong Kong training?
How is it different?
Or more or less similar?
I think more or less we have similar routine, but what stands out is I think is the mindset. Like the Japanese athlete is like inbornly they know what is important in a training session, what they have to do right after the session, and they are sort of more into the zone when they do things. I think what I learned most is like how I plan it out for the whole day. Like I also take recovery as a very important element in training as well. Instead of just doing the training and just okay, that's day done. But no, actually recovery is also part of training. So
Yes.
I feel like how they make use of the time and plan it out and having the discipline to do that is aspiring.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you, Hilda, for your sharing. And now we come to Camille. Camille, you are one of the Olympian in Hong Kong. And as we know, very few of us can qualify to attend an Olympic Games. So I'm sure the audience here in Zoom and I as well would love to hear from your story.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess for me, maybe a bit different because I grew up with a bit of a multicultural background. My mom being French, my dad being Chinese, growing up in Hong Kong, growing up in Beijing. and then going to school in the US. So I feel like just because like situationally I was exposed to many different cultures from a very young age. So it's something that I've always been curious about and very interested in, regardless of sport. But I think being part of a sport, it just, there was another layer to it. And so I think for me, when we're thinking of or talking about swimming and training philosophy, training modes, those types of things, when I was growing up, I think it was a lot more like a maybe traditional view in training, you know, just put the volume in, the intensity, you just swim. And then when I went to the US, I was, you know, as Hilda was saying, very fortunate that my sport gave me many opportunities. And one of them was to swim in the US. And when I was there, I was exposed to a whole different kind of training and a different type of training philosophy. And it was one where coaches, they really talk about the intention. So why are you doing what you are doing? You know, how does it relate to a race? How does it relate to a performance? And then, so there was less this emphasis on quantity, like instead of swimming so much or this many meters, it was more about the quality. Like, are you getting good quality training sessions? And so I think because I kind of was under this coach for, you know, 5 years, it really transformed my way of thinking about swimming. And, you know, I think sometimes as athletes, it's like, oh, do more is better. But sometimes that's not necessarily the case. It's about training smarter, not harder. And so when I was there, I, you know, apart from the physical training, there's also this element of the mental side. So Hilda was talking about the mindset. And I think for me, that was very eye-opening, because I think when I was younger, I felt sometimes like people were like, oh, why are you so serious about swimming? Like, you know, a bit just maybe not understanding what I wanted to do. And when I went to the US, you know, my college coach was the US Olympic coach. And so you were on a team where everybody is like held to this standard of you're going to act and train and live like you're an Olympian, even if you're not. Yeah. And I think until you get there. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's really what helped me was, you know, I was there for 5 years and you learn so much, you know, obviously the training, but also the mentality, the mindset, and how it's not just when the training you do when you're in the pool, but how do you act outside of the pool? You know, are you doing your recovery? Are you taking care of your diet? All these other elements that I think in the past I hadn't really thought of. And so that's like one element. And then of course the other element is just the people, like the teammates. So we have the coaches, you know, I was a different training philosophy, but I also had, you know, I was one person who came in with a different training background, a different racing background. And then there was, you know, 20 to 30 other women on the team with their own backgrounds. And if you see on the photos, like in the middle photo, that's my team, my senior year. And that year we ended up winning a national championship. And then on the left, we call each other like the international team, because we all went to the same university, but we all represent different countries. So, you know, there's Hong Kong, Canada, Egypt, New Zealand, Spain. And so I think it leads me to, like, when I go to the Olympics, like, not only is it super exciting, you know, obviously being at such an amazing event, but also that I have teammates, not just from Hong Kong, but from around the world that are also there. But, you know, we've trained together and we've helped each other get to that moment. And to be able to share that with them is something that's really, really special. So, and then on the right, this is just one of my training trips that I did just a year and a half ago. And again, here it's a group of, 20, 30 athletes, all from different parts of the world, but we all share, you were talking about sharing that common language, which is sport. Here we're sharing that common language, like the Olympic dream. And so we're all every day just pushing each other to get to that.
The training atmosphere is really good, right?
Yeah, I think it's very serious, like we're very disciplined, but then we also have fun, because if you don't have fun, then why do it? So yeah.
I had a question at the beginning. May I ask you now?
Yes.
Talk about the intention and the mindset, and I am really interested to know that what is your motivation to drive yourself forward and every time want to pursue the excellence and be the best you can be or better self every day?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think over the years, like my motivation has changed. Like why I keep swimming has changed. I think when I was younger, it was like I really love to be super competitive. I'm still competitive, but maybe less. And it's just about the opportunities. I'm motivated to travel, to race overseas, for opportunities. But I think there's also this element of personal growth, like what I've learned from swimming. It would be kind of hard to summarize in just one sentence, but it's really just the lifestyle and the mindset you develop from pursuing something like so intensely, and something that you're so passionate about, that I think all these skills, these tools, these lessons that I've learned, like I feel like I know that swimming is offering me something that when I'm done swimming, I can still translate into, whatever I do next.
Okay, thank you. After hear from Hilda and Camille, it's my turn to share a bit about karate. And I'm going to show you 3 pictures that I took with different karate players to show that there are different training modes, different ritual, different culture in different country. In the bottom left-hand side, it's the Japanese training. Japan training, and for the left-hand side on the top, it's the international training camp with the European. On my right-hand side, it's the round training, and you will see that for the Japanese style, it's more traditional, and they focus more on the basic. They have a standard punch and kicks, and they emphasize on ritual. They bout with kneading at the beginning and at the end of the class, and they show really great respect for the seniors. And the trainings are really tough. It's a more or less very disciplined training, like what Hilda has said. Japanese players are so disciplined and they know what they are training for. But for the European style or for the Iranian style, it's more chilling style with more variety of training, and they focus actually on different aspects of the fitness training or fitness components. They have more variety on training, and when we train, we focus more on the game situation, and it's more freestyle, and you can see when we take the photos, they are all freestyle. And I'm going to show you one video about how we train in the European country. It's actually the international camp in Hong Kong, and we invite the champions from all over the world, especially the European one, to our training camp, to our training center, and to train with them. It was a really good experience with them. And the variation of training is more interesting than the training with the Japanese one. we have more fun and more games, and you can see that. I'm sorry for the lagging of the video. I just want you to have a taste on how we train, and we are all very happy about our training. And here is our head coach. Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, can we go back to our PowerPoint? So you can see how different is it. And for the Iran training, actually, because they have their religion, the Islamic. You see, when we train, we only train with the woman. The woman and the men usually separate. They won't stay in an area for training together. So when I go to Iran, I just train with the woman. Sometimes I can train with men, but most of the time we just train with women. And when they train, you will see beside the gi, the uniform that we wear in karate, they would also have their scarf there. So whenever they go outside, they will have to scarf. And even in a competition, um, and they are they are really good at dancing, and that's why their kicks are really good. So these are a brief introduction on how cultural difference in karate, and now I will pass it to Hilda to introduce more for her training.
Yeah, sure, Margot. So sports has brought me to different part of the world, which I'm very privileged to experience the culture while I'm training and also racing. So as we cannot travel at the moment, let me just bring you more like like a like my experience in racing and training and what are the cultural interesting things that I experienced. So when the time we all can travel, you can also visit the places that I've gone to. Okay, so these are the photos that I have taken and wanted to show you guys. So the first one I've actually raced in the Netherlands, and which you can see the windmill behind. And we went to a town, which is a very small town in Netherlands, to race. So we experienced just running on the open roads and then swim in the river and then swim in the lake, not the river. So Netherlands is a very interesting place, and we got to travel during our big camps in the summer. So other than Netherlands, we also travel to a place in North Africa called Morocco. So you can see the picture right in the middle, and I was with my coach and my teammate and a old lady there. Actually, after that race in Morocco, we got the chance to join in a half-day tour to visit mini Sahara desert. So it is very interesting because you expect that when you arrive in a desert, it's very, very, very hot. So actually it was very hot. But when we go into the house of where the indigenous people stay in the desert, it's actually very cool. Inside the house is like they turn on the like they do not have AC definitely, but the house, it was so cool because the house material they used to build the house is a special kind. I think I have to learn more about that, but it's just like a total surprise when you arrive in a desert and in a house, you actually feel different. The temperature is just different. And then another place I visited is Abu Dhabi. So you
Where
can
is
see
it?
Abu Dhabi is one of the country among one of the country in United Arab Emirates. So it's like the middle part of Asia middle part. So I was racing in a F1 Formula circuit. That is very interesting. Like imagine like Lewis Hamilton racing in this course. So we got to bike on this F1 Formula circuit, and well, that day was raining, so it's actually quite very slippery on that course as well. But it was a very good experience, like um, like racing in Abu Dhabi, because the place we were staying, if you Google up, it's like the name of that place is YAS, Yes Island. So inside that place is actually a very exciting resort. So there's a water world there. There's a Ferrari world where you can take the roller coaster, and then a very big mall. So races sometimes, like traveling to places like this, just bring us to an unknown, like unknown kind of a place for you to explore. So I'm very happy to travel to Abu Dhabi. So the next picture here is where my teammate and my coach wore kimono in Japan. So
So
we were,
beautiful there.
yeah, it was actually a very exciting experience because we were invited by the city council to join the summer festival in Japan, like one of the town there. So we were dressed up in kimono and we walk around the street with a mini fan and then pretending we are Japanese. So it was actually funny. So I on the right top photo, that is one of the most best photo that I've ever taken with in Africa, because that race that race was in held in South Africa, a place called Zimbabwe. So that lady was my roommate for that race. I was assigned to room with another athlete from another country, and she's actually from Wanda, Rwada, Wanda,
Where is it?
and it's actually above Zimbabwe, a country above Zimbabwe. It's also in the South African zone. So in triathlon, it's very seldom to see athletes from Africa, because African are very known at are very good at no long distance running, but for swimming it wasn't a very popular sport for them. But this lady has trained very hard to be the national team and to represent her country. Her swimming was average, but her run was spectacular, I would say. And she is the only girl who strived to become a national team athlete in her country. And I think she inspired me a lot, because she really lives up to like chase her dream and to maybe one day represent her country to the Olympics. So she speaks very well, very fluent English, and we chat a lot about training programs and like how she did in her country and how she trained, she eat, she recover, and that is very, yeah, like one of the memorable experience for me.
I see. Um, how long did you spend with her? How long?
I think just the race. The race was Sunday, so we were roomed together on the previous Friday. So 2 days we spent the whole time together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did she tell you anything about her country?
Yeah. So she told me that there isn't many people like do triathlon in her country. I think she's sort of in the wealthy class, like she has financial support. That's why she could do triathlon in her country, and there's not much girls to do triathlon, but she told me she really wanted to improve swimming, because swimming is obviously her weakness. And well, I think if I got the chance to talk to her again, I would ask Camille for help. Right?
So Camille, can you share about your experience?
Yeah. Wow. I feel like Hilda, you have so many opportunities when you're in competition to sightsee and travel. And I feel like every time I go, it's more like business trip. Like you go there, you have to rest, then you compete. And when you're done, then you leave. But so for me, I wanted to share a lot of the times about my training trips because I think those are the opportunities where, you know, I'm there for maybe 1 month or to 3 months, maybe more. And I think because I'm there for such a long time, then I get to really experience, you know, the culture, how the training and all of that and interacting with the people. And so on the very left, and also like I love food. So I feel like that's like one of the big things, like when I think of culture is like, how does food play into that culture? And so on the very left, there's in the top, it's a photo of me and my teammates when this was actually my last training trip before the pandemic hit. I was in Virginia in the US and I was on a team with, I mentioned there was a photo previously with, you know, 20 athletes or swimmers from all over the world. And so, you know, all here training for that Olympic goal, that Olympic dream. And we were there over Thanksgiving. So we did it potluck style where everybody kind of brings their own dish. And then some people made dishes that were unique to their own, you know, home country. And just like being able to just like share stories and to hear more about, you know, one guy was making potatoes that his grandma sent him the recipe from Iceland, and just like hearing that story. And I feel like you get to know about somebody through food and through their stories as well, which was something that I love, and eat good food, which is great. And then in the middle, this was my training trip. A few years ago, we were in Nara for about a month and a half. And we were there during Sakura season. So one of the days we were able to go and they took us through, you know, we saw the deer park, and then we had a picnic where they brought us like the bento boxes and we walked around. And that was really, really special to do. Definitely love Japan. And then in the top, while we were there, we also did like a swim clinic exchange. So there were different schools, you know, middle school and high school kids that they would come, and then we would swim with them for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And we would, you know, talk about technique, share our drills, and then always at the end, do like a fun relay and like race and, you know, just to have fun with them. And, you know, I've had opportunities to do that in many different places. I think that's something that I like to do when we go on training trips is to interact, especially with the younger athletes that are coming, and just kind of share and answer their questions. Because, you know, for me, when I was younger, it was exciting to have people come and just, you know, hear their story and just interact with them. And then on the right, the two photos, that was in Taiwan. We did that, actually, that was my training trip before Asian Games. And it was just us four. And, you know, we definitely got into a routine where we would go to training, and then after training, we would go to the supermarket or the wet market, buy all of our food, and then we would go home, cook it, and then eat it all together, which you can see. And I think that was special too, because, you know, sometimes like we spend so much time with our teammates in a training environment. It's also nice to do something that's not training relevant and not just swimming. So those are the special moments.
Can you cook well? Camille?
I think so. I'm more of a baker, so I have a very big sweet tooth. So I love baking. I would say I'm a better baker than I am at cooking.
Among all the food that you had experience, which kind of dish would you prefer?
I'm like a bit torn because I love Japanese food, like all Japanese food. So I would say that, but then I also love Italian food. So maybe like either fusion or just I answer with two
Japanese
types.
food and Italian food.
Yeah.
I think most of us also like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I'm going to share with you one experience in Iran, and that was the first time I went to Iran. And it was actually a wedding party. They met the groom and the bride married, and we after training we attend that party. They just dance all the night long. It's different from Hong Kong wedding. They won't talk a lot. They just dance, and there was a big boss. When you dance, they will give you US dollar. They just throw the US dollar, and then everyone dance and get the money in their pocket. And many kids would go there to get that. And actually, every Iranian people are very good at dancing, and they love dancing as well. And what we would do is to appreciate their dancing. And during that dance, we have no food. Not really no food, but we have some fruit and some fresh vegetable, but we don't have the main course. And at the end of the wedding, we just eat quickly and go. So this is one of the special part that I have. And when we go to Iran, Iran is a mysterious country to most of us. And if we want to go to the Iran, we have to get the visa. And if you don't know French, it's very difficult to visit there because the language is different. But because I went there for several times, and I did learn some Iranian language there, like Salam alaikum, Hubi, Hubam. you may wonder what is it. It's just hello, how are you, and I'm fine. So and I would like to also introduce another thing about the food in Iran. So we go to the home of one of our friends, and they make barbecue food. It's the meat there is so big. It's like our forearm length. And every time we eat, so we eat a large amount of meat. The dish almost like a circle like this one. So it's really big. And after we went to Iran, we normally would increase our weight. And when they in their leisure time, we will go to a restaurant and sit there, and we will talk and rest and listen to the area that filled with the birds singing, and we just drink tea with the sugar. And it's quite a relaxing when we have the recovery session. And one of the very special dessert I had experienced is on the right top corner. I want to introduce to you. Maybe I am not sure whether all of you know what is konjaku. Konjaku is wuxi, and they just put the chocolate on there for the dessert. So it was a really special taste. I could not say it is a very good good dessert, but it's special one. So I know Hilda had also had very special food to share as well. So Hilda, on the left hand side on the photo, right?
Yes,
It's like
yeah.
peanut butter.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Margot, like I agree with you about food. Like one of the best thing about traveling is to experience the food, and I'm definitely a food lover. And what I was holding on the left picture is actually a speculoos spread. If you have ever heard of that, it's actually a spread that you can either put on your bread or like put on the biscuit and like pair with the coffee and just eat it as a snack. So speculoos is a very delicious thing that I found and become my favorite food. So the taste of it is actually like a chai latte sort of taste. Like there's a lot of spice in it, the ground cinnamon, ground cloves, and it's very, very sweet. So if you got the chance to try it, I think you definitely have to go for it. So I think to experience culture in a place, the best place is to go to the supermarket. So yeah, that is so true. Like sometimes my teammates think I am crazy, like spending time in a supermarket for an hour and an hour and a half. And what are you doing there just to come up with a bag of pasta and like a carton of milk? So why do you spend a lot of time in there? So for me, I feel like food is definitely something very special for one country. You know, people eat every day, and what do they eat? And actually, you can find it in a supermarket. So, for example, in Australia, when I go to the dairy section, well, there's a wide variety of like skim milk, low fat milk, high fat milk, like a wide variety of like yogurts, like even vegetarian yogurt, vegan yogurt, and like you can experience that by like either buying that and taste it, like how is it different from the Hong Kong one, like the Hong Kong produced yogurt or something like that. And perhaps in Japan you will be surprised to see like there's a lot of raw fish, like people would love to eat sushi and like salmon and tuna. And in Spain, like I discovered like people really love to eat preserved meat. So like the all kinds of preserved meat in different price, different age, different year of produce, and you can just find it in the supermarket. So I think supermarket is a very good place for you to explore the culture. And yeah, do you agree?
Yes, I always go to the
Yeah.
supermarket and buy souvenir for my friends.
Oh,
Do you?
sure. Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah.
Especially chocolates are also
Yes,
one of the
chocolate.
things that I explore.
Yes.
Like New Zealand has very good chocolate and certain type of brand, you definitely have to bring it back to your family. So another thing that I normally do during like races or training camps, I'll find a local coffee shop just to like sit there and like take a few moments to just look around and just look at what people are doing. Look what people are doing there, because sometimes you'll discover that, oh, like in Hong Kong when we're in Starbucks, like people are just studying with their laptop, but maybe in overseas people maybe just sitting there, just waiting for their coffee.
Oh, Hilda is uh, the Wi-Fi in Hilda's room may be not very stable, and maybe she has to go out first, and she will come back later. So let's us go to the other part first. And originally, we would like to talk about the one of the Olympic spirit, the friendship one. But I guess we don't have much time left. Perhaps we go to the if we have time later on, we will share it again. These are really very good memories for us, and we will always treasure it in our heart. But for unfortunately, unfortunately, we cannot do the same in this recent year due to the pandemic COVID-19. So there were times we in the home SI had been locked down, and I was the part-time athlete, and we were not allowed to go for a training. And I remember only the full-time athlete can train in the Hong Kong SI. And I know Hilda, is it Hilda come back? Hilda come back, yeah? Okay. But maybe Camille can share about it more because she was not in Hong Kong, right? She is in other country at that moment. Maybe you have to open your mind.
Yeah. So yeah, COVID has affected, I mean, obviously everybody differently. I think for me at the time, I was in the US training, and I was coming back to Hong Kong for our Olympic qualification. And then once I came back to Hong Kong, then they postponed the Olympics. So then it was quite challenging, to deal with that, like, we have to keep at this elite level of training for another year. And I think in all of it, there's the physical challenges of, we have access to training facilities and then we don't. And then we have to get creative with our training. We have to do different things. Like for me, I didn't always have pool access. So I had to go, maybe run or bike or swim in the ocean and find, and to get really creative, which was fun. You have to make it fun and go into it with that mindset. Otherwise, it's really tough. But I think for me, the hardest thing in all of this is the mental challenges. Like how do you stay motivated when you don't have any competitions? Like it's been almost a year since I've had my last official race. And, how do you keep doing every single, keep showing up to practice when there's so much uncertainty of, is the Olympics happening or not? So, and then there was also, I was in the Sports Institute, we were allowed to stay open, but we were in like a bubble. So you have to live there, eat there, train there. And I was there for about 6 weeks. And after 6 weeks, it's just like, mentally, I just need a break. Like I need to go out. And so I think it's been quite challenging, just the mental part of it. And that's been a lot of like what I've been working on is, despite these challenges, how do we adapt? How do we get creative? How do we, make new goals? And I think Hilda can probably share a bit about her experience with the challenges of COVID this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just sorry about the connection issue, but I'm now back on the Zoom. So yeah, Camille is right. Like not having races for like a year has been really challenging for athletes. And well, for me, I also stay in the institute for like almost 6 weeks, and well, it was mentally challenging, like to just stay in a place and just do training and recovery. And well, but I mean, like everyone is facing similar challenges. So for me, I feel like it's more important for us to like be flexible about how stuff are going, and especially to acknowledge the issues that we are facing. And after we acknowledge it, we have to move on to find out solutions. And okay, what I can do in now, how we can make changes in the plan, and like how we can do this. And especially as Camille say, like what is the intention? Why are you still going forward? Why do you still want to do it? Like ask yourself, like be honest with yourself. Like if you like for me, I ask myself, okay, I couldn't, like races are uncertain. I can't race for the next few months. So why am I doing this? And I ask, and I tell like the inner voice, say like, okay, you still have to go on because it is just part of the process. And like if you overcome this challenge, you will see the bright side of the end, like the road you're going to improve your skills and like to race again. So find that intention in yourself and have that, what can you say, the mindset as well to ready to absorb the challenges. Yeah, and for me, I feel like what we what we want to stress on is to have the self-care to yourself. What I discover is that it is very important to have like the 5 languages, like the 5 languages of talking to yourself and taking care of yourself. So for me, I normally practice this 5 love language to myself. The first one is like having quality time, just to spend time listening to your own self and like feeling and the thoughts. And the second one, maybe you can buy some gifts for yourself to reward yourself if you're doing good. And the third one is act of service, like do something different, like either for your friend, help a friend out. If a friend needs to chat with you, just pick up the phone and like listen to her concerns. And then word of affirmation, like always reinforcing your positive thoughts, telling yourself that you can overcome this challenge or like I'm ready to take on this challenge. And physical touch is also important. I practice that every night, like just putting on lotion and like talking to your skin and like telling them I really love you and like just have a rest and now we're going to bed and something like that. So try to either do 1 or 2 and like to be more mentally positive.
So thank you for Camille and thank you Hilda as well for today's talk.